Welcome back to the news today. This is One-on-One. Now we move to from the Israeli election to the Greek one. The economic crisis of national debt that hit the EU and especially Greece have put Greek politics on a roller coaster as well. In the last 2.5 years, there were 3 election campaigns that also saw extreme shifts of power. Aryeh Mekel was the Israeli ambassador during the years 2010 and 2014 in a time when Israeli-Greek relations threatened in economic and strategy. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming.
Good evening.
So we've been discussing a lot about what is happening with Greek and with the Greek economy and what is happening with the Greek politics and what happened actually to Greece and the effort that it put in order to be part of the EU. And it seems now that they feel after these elections that maybe they have more power than it looks, that they actually can choose to be or not to be part of Europe?
This is actually the important question. I mean, what we see here is extremely important and extremely interesting on a European scale. What we see here is that one of the European countries, namely Greece, is challenging the system. The system until now was as follows. If one of the EU countries gets in trouble, economically speaking, the others, particularly the Germans, come along. They are ready to spend a lot of money to help them, but in the Greek case, we're talking about 350 billion euros. But in return, they have to impose on them a whole system of austerity and of not sanctions, but austerity, reforms, and so on. This was done in Greece for the last several years. They tried to do it. They did it in Portugal, in Spain. Now, the Greek people has now spoken. They basically say to the Germans, we don't want to take your orders anymore. We don't want you to infringe in a way on our sovereignty. We think that you should still help us because we are Europeans. You want us to be inside, not outside. But we will not do what you tell us. Can this work? Can this work from a political point of view? Will the Germans agree and the other Europeans? Can it work from an economic point of view? Basically, they tell them, listen, you guys, you go to hell, but you still continue to pay for it.
I'm trying to think, because it's similar in one way or another, not exactly similar, but like when the Palestinians right now are claiming to have sovereignty and they want to declare themselves as an independent state. And the first question that we're asking, can the Palestinians actually maintain a state? Can they actually live by themselves with no effort or maybe with no support from the Israeli government? Can the Greeks actually live with no support of the EU?
This is the big question. But the Greeks don't say to the EU, stop helping us. They say, no, you should continue to help us, but don't put your conditions. We don't want your austerity. I mean, what did the Europeans ask the Greek government to do? They were supposed to start collecting taxes. This was not something that was very popular in Greece. They were asked to decrease the size of their government service, which is huge, like 1.5 million employees for a country of 10 million citizens. They were asked to start privatizing because the government still owns everything. And they were asked to basically to decrease the salaries and the pensions. Not much of it was done. But even the little that was done was enough to make many people hurt. So basically they say to the Europeans, listen, you should continue to help us. But as far as the austerity, thanks but no thanks. Can it work? We don't know yet. The proof of the pudding is in the eating.
So how is it going to work, basically, when the biggest party is extreme left party and the third party is a neo-Nazi party? How these two, let's say, two different ways of thinking are going to sit down together and try to govern and control Greece?
No, the neo-Nazis are not in the new government. The new government, which was only announced today, It's supposed to be made up of Syriza, which is an extreme left party. I say extreme left because it's left of the socialists, and of a extreme right party, which is called the Independent Greeks. I say extreme right because they are to the right of the conservatives that were in power. So, but the neo-Nazis it's true that they came in third, but they are not, their leaders are still in jail, and they are not going to be part of any government. In fact, the new government of Syriza, they hate the neo-Nazis.
What does it say about the society?
Okay, but it's an interesting thing again. I mean, you would think, how would the extreme right and the extreme left, get married and live happily ever after? The answer to this is that these two, they only care about one thing. Their agenda is made up of one item, which is anti-austerity, to put an end to austerity or to what they call the suffering of the Greek people. So they can disregard foreign policy, they can disregard anything else, as long as they can fight against this austerity, and this is their common agenda. This is where they can meet, and we will see this government, extreme left and extreme right, in bed together.
In a case that Greece will decide or will be able to disconnect from the EU, it can affect the rest of Europe. This is something that Europe cannot allow itself, because it can affect, like you said, it's Spain and other countries around that say that they will say, if Greece can do it, so can we.
Right. No, but it's not going to happen because, A, the Greeks don't want to leave. They are very much happy that they are part of Europe. They can work anywhere they want. They can travel anywhere they want. And they are part of the Euro system. But at the same time, the Germans, I keep mentioning the Germans because they are the leading force. But the Germans and the others, they don't want the Greeks to leave. You're right. If the Greeks leave, there might well be a domino effect. And you don't know who is next. And you know what? Some people in Greece believe that maybe going back to the drachma is not such a bad idea. If they could have their own currency, they could basically they could deflate it. Or they could change it in any way they want. I mean, they can do something with now they can't. They are stuck with the euro, and it's not their decision. So, but I don't think it'll happen. Greece will stay in the European system, in the euro system. The Germans and the others would have to compromise with them, and so would the new government. I mean, they would have to meet somewhere halfway. They will not be able to stick to their positions. No, they will have to compromise if they want to continue to live together.
Every time that I'm traveling to Greece, I see a lot of similarities between the Israelis and the Greeks. It seems that this is why the hot temper, the decision, this is why it's affecting also the Mediterranean, let's say, views or weather. And it's affecting also the politics, because we see this shaky politics also there. How would the Greeks try to, let's say, resolve the problems in the next in the near future?
Well, right now there's a lot of excitement in many parts of the Greek society, but if we look closer at the results, 1/3 of the Greeks voted for this extreme left Syriza. 1/3. Which means that 2/3 did not. Syriza only has about 36%. And particularly we see that the middle class did not vote for them. The middle class voted for the conservatives, who received almost 30%. Wow. So we may well see a clash not of civilizations in this case, but of societies. The middle class is very upset today, but they will... And at the end of the day, the middle class and the upper class are those with the resources. And those that voted Syriza are those, the have-nots.
So if I understand, like the subtext that you're telling me right now, is that we might see more elections in the near future?
I think we may have a stable coalition for about a year. But at some point, if their system does not work, they may have to go back to the voting public.
Mekel, thank you very, very much for making things very clear to us. Thank you very much for this. And thank you, our viewers, for being with us tonight. Tomorrow we will be here at the same time, same place from the Jaffa Port, Israel. Have a great night.